with me today for our Zen 1 Better Results on Purpose podcast. My name is Sherrie Busby, and I am your hostess with the mostest. And I wanted to tell you a little bit, if you don't know about Zen 1, they are a dental supplies ordering platform. Works just like Amazon. It is the best ever. All of the supply vendors are connected, so you don't have to go out with 25 passwords or anything like that to get it. And speaking of that, my guest today is Chanda, and she's from Solmetex, from Stericyl. And you can get Stericyl products on Zen 1. So who knew, right? It's also really good. I know, who knew? So thank you for joining us. And like I said, I have a special guest. It's my friend Chanda. So tell us about who you are and what you do.
Wow, thank you, Sherrie. I'm so happy to be here with you today. As Sherrie said, my name is Chanda. I am the Director of Professional Education at Solmetex Stericyl Dry Shield. Stericyl is my passionate side, though, because of waterline safety. So I come from the original Stericyl back a few years ago before we were all put together as one group. And I'm just here to make sure our water is safe whenever you go see the dentist.
I love that. I feel like, am I frozen completely?
It's
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me at least. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going then. So I want to tell you guys while you're here, if you have any questions or thoughts, or just say, hey, you guys are doing a great job, drop it in the chat because I can see that. And then we'll get those questions answered as soon as possible. I like to do it while we're going because that's kind of like what we're talking about, right? Yeah. So drop them in the chat. And then the other thing is when we're done, if you would please take, it's about 10 seconds to answer like a 3 or 4 question survey and let us know how we did, because that's how we're going to be able to keep making the podcast better and better. All right. So Chanda, I feel like my video is still frozen. I'm going to turn it off and turn it back on and see if that helps.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm still here, guys, I promise. So let's talk about safe water. Like everybody who, if you know me, or maybe you don't know me yet, I am very passionate about dental unit waterline safety myself. And I don't know why my camera now, it won't even come back on. So I guess it's my signal here. So I'm sorry, you get to look at Chanda's beautiful face today.
Oh, no.
But anyway, I am so passionate about dental unit waterlines, and I was amazed at what I didn't know. I'm just going to say that, right? Even after all these years that I've been in dentistry and teaching and everything, like there was so much that I didn't know. And so I started educating myself, and that led me to my friend Chanda. So let's talk about why your water needs care. I mean, like, what's the deal?
What's the deal? I know I learned a lot as well coming into dental and working for Stericyl. I had no idea. You go into the dental practice, you have your procedures done, everything looks beautiful. It even smells nice in there. And you just expect that everything is clean and well taken care of. And so sometimes there's those water lines that are really small and tiny, and they're dark inside. And it's a great breeding ground for bacteria. And it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So we don't really recognize that could be the culprit of bacteria going into the procedural water. So I kind of coined this term. It's not your water, it's your water lines, because you can put really great water in, like from the depths of Antarctica. But as soon as they touch those water lines, if there's already biofilm bacteria in there, they're now contaminated. So
it is. It happens so quickly too, right? Just so fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike's asking me to turn on my camera, and I've done it like 5 times. So I don't know what's going on now because it was just working.
No worries.
I'm going to turn it off one more time. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you the little worms that are in the unit in the picture there, that actually happened to me. And I did not, this was before I ever knew about biofilm, right? So my air and water wasn't working. And so I pulled it all apart, and I opened it up for the first time in probably its lifetime, and it was full of these worms. And I put a paper towel and shot it out there, and honest to God, the whole thing was covered. It was crazy. It was crazy. So
There is. There's a lot of that in there. It's just that biofilm sludge that holds that bacteria inside there, and it is kind of gross.
It's very gross. But it's not right. It's very gross.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we want to make sure the water that's coming out of the water lines, not going in, but water coming out, meets that EPA drinking water standard of 500 CFU. That's the standard. What comes out of your faucet, that should be the safe water for you. Well, once it goes in those water lines, sometimes that can change and it become contaminated. So that's why we want to really make sure we're taking care of them.
Right.
And I have this little funny thing here to differentiate between bacteria and biofilm, because there is a difference between them. And you can see here, bacteria, it's just like floating planktonic bacteria that floats in the water. And that bacteria can duplicate every 4 to 20 minutes in untreated water. Can you imagine that?
That is crazy, crazy fast, right? The bacteria are having like little lives within that 4 to 20 minutes.
Oh yes, they love to replicate themselves. And the purple there is it's an AI version of Pseudomonas, which is commonly found in water lines, and then on the bottom left is Legionella. And some of you may have heard of Legionella outbreaks that have happened in Europe, particularly even in the water picks. So you kind of want to watch your water picks, clean your water picks. That was a recent one. Is someone had Legionella contamination in their water picks. So keep up with those. And then here's biofilm. So biofilm is the coaters. It creates, that's that slime, that's that worm. And Maria's talking about the blowout there on the bottom left. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's not great. Can you imagine if that went to a patient's mouth? Oh, goodness.
Well, actually, it kind of was, except not all at one time, right?
All at one time. That's true. That's true. Yep. This biofilm, it sticks on the inside, just like you see in that image there, and it holds the bacteria underneath it and protects it so it can duplicate. It's not good, and it's really hard to get rid of. So the whole goal is to really not let the bacteria stick in the first place, so it can form this biofilm shell and protect itself. And you can see here, like in as little as 72 hours, biofilm can form. So we were trying to prevent that. And this is all about maintaining the water line rather than being reactive to it.
Right. If you get it under control, it's a lot easier too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so there's this biofilm cycle. And what I mentioned about this initial attachment, letting the bacteria that's floating in the water connect inside of those water lines. And then it is irreversible until you use a really strong chemical agent to go in there and clean it all out. So the goal is to stop that attachment, because you can see the cycle here. It just grows like it's inside a big pimple, if you can imagine that, and it just grows and grows, and then eventually it pops and disperses all that bacteria it's been keeping inside of it. That would be bad. We may have lost Sherrie, but I'm going to keep going if that's okay with y'all. Let's see here. Some of you may have learned about some of these outbreaks that have happened across the country in the last 10 years. The most noted one is the one in Anaheim. You could see little Mimi Morales on the bottom or the left side there. She was part of a group of children who succumbed to mycobacterial infection during after a pulpotomy. And these are the things that can happen that are complications of that. Permanent tooth loss, hearing loss. That hearing loss comes from the antibiotics that they have to give them because they're so strong, and it's permanent hearing loss. Vascular access malfunctions, facial nerve palsy, drug reactions, rashes, all those things are just terrible things that you would ever see in children and much less adults. But here's the big piece of it. Those infection outbreaks are a serious matter, and they're preventable because we can manage the water lines and make sure those water lines have the treatment and the shock that's needed. There she is.
I'm back. I got booted off, and now I'm back.
And a gorgeous face. There we go.
I'm so sorry, guys, for that issue there. Oh, little Mimi. So I see where you are now.
I
Thank you.
Telling them about her.
Oh, it's so sad.
It is. And this is one of several outbreaks that have occurred, but I went through some of the complications. I mean, can you imagine losing your hearing because you went to the dentist?
No,
That's not okay. Not okay. And it's preventable.
it is.
Right. Here's the outbreaks we've probably seen or heard about in the news. And that's the big piece is this is what we've seen and heard about in the news. What about all the ones that they can't disclose, that are not published, that are settled out of court sort of thing? So,
Or what about the ones that we don't even know? You
you
know, like the patient gets sick and you don't even attribute it that it was the water in the office, right?
right, right.
It's just
That's
it
so
happens
true.
more often than we think.
It does. And even these outbreaks, you can be exposed and then you don't present symptoms for months and
Right.
months. So it is really hard to pinpoint where you got it from. I mean, a lot of times when we get sick, we're like, oh, I was at the mall and shopping and I don't feel good, or different places in your life where you're out in public, but sometimes you don't. I never did think it was from my dental procedure. So there we
It
go.
can happen.
No, it should not happen. Absolutely not. And that I'm so excited that these 3 states have rules on dental quality regulations. Go Georgia, go Washington, and Maryland. Good for them for doing this. It's super important. And Washington was the first, so they led the charge. They have to test their water every quarter, and they have to remediate immediately if they fail, and they can use any type of test. Maryland's House bill is a little more vague. It just says right now you have to test your water quality. So there aren't any specific stipulations on how often. And then Georgia came in the back end. I love Dr. Resnick. He's the president of the Georgia Dental Board, and he adopted this rule for Georgia back last year. So this is recent because they had a couple more outbreaks in the last couple years. And in addition to the testing they require, they have to do 2 hours of CE on infection control that includes Waterline. So he's making sure that his state practitioners are educated, and that's your your dentist and your hygienist that have to do those things.
Right. I wish they would have added dental assistants in there too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, please, God.
Dental
Just
assistants are
please.
doing the work, man. They're
What
doing
are
all
the
the hard
ones
work in
the
there.
doctor can have education, but they don't do it? I
Yes.
mean, come on.
Agreed. And your hygienists, they get involved and they oversee but your hygienist is down the trenches, or your assistant, and they're doing the work.
They are doing the work. God bless
doing the
us
work.
for making the ball keep rolling, right?
That's right. So all you hygienists out there, make sure you help
Yeah.
your assistant educate them in your
And
practice.
and I want to tell you guys, like, these may not be your states, but your state will not be far behind. It's coming.
Right.
It's happening. It's coming. And the sooner that we get educated and understand the reason and all the why behind it, then when it does come to pass, you won't be scrambling around. Like, I know for a fact that this law passed in Georgia last year, like in 25. They're still not, all those offices are still not testing because it hasn't made it down to the office level, right? So it takes a long time for us to get it. And so education is the key to that, just to staying informed. And it's, you really got to look. It's not like it's going to be on Yahoo News about dental offices need to check their water, right? But if when you, just by getting on webinars like this one, it will help you. So, all right. So these guys made a list, regulations, if you will, of what to do. So tell me about, like, what do these regulations say?
For each of these states?
Well, no, I mean in general.
In general, well,
Yeah.
across the country, everyone should be following CDC guidelines if their state says that, right? So that's part of the confusion. We're like, well, it's a guideline, do I need to follow it? If your state says that you must adhere to CDC guidelines say you need to test your water.
They
and
do.
You
And maintain.
You're below. That's right. And if you're not, you need to shock so that you get it back down to 500 CFU or below. So that's really important to go take a look at your state regulations and read the language and make sure you clearly understand that maybe if it says guidelines, that doesn't mean that it's just a guidance, that if your state follows it and adheres to it, then you need to be doing it. And
Yeah,
it's interesting. You guys sit in the chair too, right? Sherrie, you go to the dentist?
I do. Got my teeth cleaned 2 weeks ago. So yay, no cavities.
Right? You're a patient.
I'm a
your children, your
patient.
family are patients. So this is not
Yeah.
just, about
And
business.
it's
It's you too.
And it's not just the patients though, because if we think about, we live in a environment of overspray like all the time.
Yes,
That water is aerosolized. Is that how you say that word, aerosolized?
I think
So
so.
that water, yeah, that water droplets are going everywhere. So I know we wear a mask. Okay, I'm not saying we don't, but God bless us. I'm not the only one. I live in Florida, and even in Colorado right now, it's 90 degrees and humid, right? So our mask may not always be tight against our nose. So we're letting in those aerosols are still getting to us, right? And we can get sick just the same.
Right.
We can get sick from the aerosolized water. So it's
Yeah.
just, it's to save everybody.
That's
You got
right.
to
That's
go.
right. And aerosol gets everywhere too, right? It
Yeah.
gets on the outside of your gowns or on the equipment. And,
Mm-hmm.
we don't, what was it? Was it if aerosols were red, which is similar to ADS as if saliva were red?
Yes.
My
Yes. So
goodness.
you guys, there are two videos that are out. And if saliva was red was from the OSAP, or which is now ADS, which is the Association for Dental Safety. That one's been out a long time, right? But they redid this video and it's better than it was. Now, it is a little exaggerated because like they're spraying the water in the model's mouth and there's no suction. Like we don't really do that. So it is exaggerated. However, it makes a great point. And then our friends at DentaSafe did basically the same thing, but if aerosols were red. And it goes everywhere. We don't even realize it. We don't even realize it. And so if you haven't seen those videos, then I would recommend that you just Google them. You can just go to YouTube and say if aerosol were red, you'll find it.
Right. Absolutely.
Share it in a team meeting when you're talking about
Yeah,
this.
it is. It's
So
pretty interesting to watch, isn't it?
it is very interesting to watch. So I love that this slide right here, you guys, our friends here at Stericyl have put together regulations for every single state. And I'm telling you, I research a lot of state guidelines. This is a big to do. And if you want to know what's in your state, log on to stericyl.com and go down there and find the map. It's like 3/4 of the way down the page. And then you just put your state in there and it will tell you this is what you need to do in your state. And most of them will say follow CDC guidelines, and all of that is outlined on the pages. So this is really, really helpful that is there. So tell me about the other QR codes that you have on here.
Other QR codes will take you to your CDC guidance, your FDA, ADA, and ADS white papers. So that way you have all the resources you possibly can. I know ADS has a Ask ADS, which is like an AI tool in there, and you can ask it questions. They take all of these guidance and things and they vet them and they put them in there too. So that's another really great resource when you get in there. And then Stericyl or Solmetex has this map, but it's also for your amalgam separator for any of you guys out there,
Yes.
right? You have to have compliance documentation about recycling and all of that. Those guidances regulations are also in there for each of your states too. So take a look in there, and there are links to documents and all the things that you need for resources to make sure that all of it's been vetted and it's accurate for you guys.
Yeah. So you guys, one of your handouts is a copy of these slides. So you'll be able to scan the QRs with your phone. So make sure that you download that handout. Mike is going to drop it into the chat for us. So you can just download it from the chat. If you miss that and you're like, come on, I know you're cleaning instruments right now. I get it. Right. So he'll also send it in an email afterwards. And the other thing is we have a Stericyls made a maintenance kit. So there should be two things, Mike, the maintenance and then the handout. I mean, the slide copies that I gave you.
Yeah. Yep. Those will be really helpful. Good tools.
Yeah,
There's some
good tools.
terminology in there. Helps define some different terms that you might hear in the industry. There's a SOP guide, so you could just check the boxes of things that you do, and when you do them, makes it really simple and easy to keep track of everything.
It does, because that's part of the rule is to have it written down, right? So tell me, so let's talk about the 3 steps, the 3 essential things.
3 essential things you have to maintain your water lines, and that's you need to test it, because how do you know right? If you are in compliance with the 500 CFU EPA drinking water standard. There's no way to know. I've seen water that looks clear. I know our friend Michelle Strange will test toilet water and it
She
will pass,
just,
and your water lines will pass. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
right.
Oh, little talking.
I've seen office sink water that didn't pass before. So that means that the pipes coming into their building is just full of bacteria, right?
Yep,
So
that
it's
happens.
kind of crazy.
That happens.
And then
And
the step
then
3 is to maintain, right?
maintain. Yep, maintain, which means you have daily treatment in your water lines 24/7
Mhm.
all the time to keep that bacteria from attaching to your water lines and forming biofilm. And then routine shock. This part's really important, and I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next slide because the routine shock piece of it. Nancy Dewhurst, you might all know her, and Dr. Molinari did this study, and they found that routine shocking increases your passing rate for testing because shocking. Think about your hot tub, right? You don't never shock your hot tub. You have to do it once in a while and just reset and kill all that bacteria that's floating in the water. And bring it back down to a good level. So when you do that on a routine basis, not like once in a while or using shock as a treatment and doing that only, when you combine the daily antimicrobial and a routine shock, you drastically increase your passing rates for
Mhm.
and reduce all that risk in your water lines.
Yeah,
Super important.
people are thinking that I heard the other day they just put their tablet in and they call it done. So they're not doing their shocking step. And I
Right.
think that that's once you just got to know. It's kind of like adding bleach to your towels every once in a while, right? To get them
Right.
extra clean.
Get them
It's the
extra
same
clean.
thing. Yeah, get them extra clean. So you
We
kind
deep
of have
clean
to
in
do
our
those
house,
things.
right? We maintain. If you never did the dishes every day, imagine in a week how that would look. So you can maintain those. Well, once in a while you do a good deep cleaning. You get those baseboards and the dust bunnies and in your ceiling fans and stuff. So you got to do that too. That's. We also talk about like flossing and brushing. And brushing is like you do that every day. That's your maintenance, and then you floss every day. You need both of those things. So treatment and shock, floss and brush.
Floss and brush. Okay, so we have what can you do if your sink water doesn't pass? Those pipes are not under your control necessarily. And that is true.
That is true. Yep. I would check with my municipality. So wherever your water comes from, because they are required by law to meet that EPA drinking water standard of 500.
Yeah, but
So
they're only required to put it to the outside of your building, right? Not
this is true.
into.
This is
And
true.
so
Yep, yep.
if it doesn't pass, and it's possibly you might need to have some sort of water treatment within your building.
You might have to get a
I mean, like a
filtration
water
system.
softener, filtration, or
Right.
something.
And if you're
Um,
in the quick fix of that, it would be to get like a Culligan water filter or something and attach it to your faucet. That way,
mhm.
you know that the water at least is coming out of there, that you filtered it through. We've got people that have like what's called TDS, really high total dissolved solids in their water, like in Texas. And they will put a water filter or softener on their faucet or in their practice for all the water systems coming in. And that really makes it a lot easier to make
Yeah.
sure that your water is safe.
It does. And I know I've seen offices that are in like high rise buildings that have trouble with this too, because the water just there's such a long run for it to go that there's areas that it stays stagnant all the time. So it comes out. So I would test
Right.
your sink water, then have a talk with your doctors. And then maybe if you can't get like a whole office filter, then maybe you just put like in the kitchen sink where you're making your lunch, right? Or someplace maybe in the lab where you're getting water for your units and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Right.
I would test it first because you don't know.
Right. That's
Test,
right.
got to
That's
test to
right.
find out.
Test it. Don't guess. Test, don't guess.
Test, don't test, right?
Yep, and that's something that we have here at Stericycle. We're the only one company that produces a test that's in 15 minutes. It's a test strip. It looks like your little COVID test strip if you see there on the right. So if you've ever taken one of those, you know exactly how to use this. 5 quick drops and you let it sit for 15 minutes. And it's a one line pass or fail. Two lines is fail, one line is passing. Easy
You're,
peasy.
you're
And go.
pregnant or you're not, right?
That's right. There's no between.
No, in between. I really like this. I really like the Fast Check 15 in that you get an instant answer, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But this is my personal opinion, right? And
Mhm.
the downside of that is that you don't know how close to that 500 that you are, because it reads, if it's up to, if it's not over 500, then you pass, but you might be at 497. You know what I mean? Is
It's
it
probably pretty close to, if it's getting close to 500, it's going to trigger that line. The line will be a little faint. So just
okay?
the same as sort of when you see a pregnancy test, you're like, is that really a line or is that not a line? If you see any line, you're close enough that you should definitely take some action.
There you
And
go.
of course, but like you said, if it's over 500, we don't know how far over. So
Right.
Stericycle also has an R2A, which is the gold standard in water testing. And this is done by our friends at DentaSafe. So an independent third-party test lab. We don't touch the samples here at Stericycle. It goes to DentaSafe. And they're an EPA registered, or sorry, EPA certified lab. And what that
The
means is
only one,
only
too.
one. They're the only one. It ensures the processing quality. So imagine you have different places that might have different quality systems and different processes, just like each dental practice might have different ways of doing things. The EPA makes sure that DentaSafe is doing it the way that the EPA would do it. So they actually send them a sample, the EPA does, and DentaSafe has to match that sample results by processing it the same way. So we can ensure that the tests are always on high quality processing, which is really good.
I like
But
that.
your R2A will give you a comprehensive test report. So you'll get like a CFU count in there, and you'll know, is it 25,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 560? Like it'll kind of give you a good range. So you know how bad it is. And the higher your CFU count is a very good indicator you have a biofilm problem. And that's when you need to get in there and really clean those lines out.
That's right. And I think that it'll help you make your decision on how you maintain too
Mhm.
afterwards. Because
Definitely.
once you may have to shot more often if your lines are still a high count, right?
Right.
And then if it gets to where it comes back, it says TNTC, two numerous to count, you may
Yes.
need a line cleaner or something, right? But
Right. Right.
we're gonna run out of time. So let's talk about the shock that's so
Yeah.
simple.
This is great for your routine shock. It's the only tablet. It's orange. You literally put it in your bottle with 6 ounces of water, swirl it all around, and it's going to clean the inside of your bottle. So for those of you who are trying to figure out how do I use a brush, what kind of water do I use, what kind of detergent do I use, this
Hmm.
will do it for you. You leave it overnight or at least 8 hours, and then you flush it all out until you don't see the orange, and you're done. Simple,
Yeah,
easy.
you're done. And
$2 a
guys,
tablet.
I, I'm, I know we're talking Stericycle products here, but it really, compatibility is so important, because if your products are designed to work together, then life is just so much easier. And it
That's
just
exactly
happens to
right.
be that these are compatible like that. But there's other products that you can use that are not Stericycle that will help you pass too. You know what I mean? But
Right.
it's really having it's got to be easy to work into my day. I've got 28,000 things I'm doing at any given moment, right? And so it has to be done. And I love the silver technology of the
Yeah.
whole package too, right?
It makes it easy. It keeps everything down 10 CFU or below based on its EPA registration. So, and NASA
Mm.
uses silver ion technology. So the same technology up there at NASA and your International Space Station. It's a great natural antimicrobial. They've been putting coins in buckets and things to keep water for centuries. So this is a great one. And Stericycle has a straw. And so when Sherrie's talking about compatibility, when you're using Citrussil shock, you can shock right through that straw. You don't need to take it
Yeah.
out. So less steps for you guys.
Mhm.
Also less steps to clean your bottles on a regular basis. And this keeps it 24/7, 365 days. Keeps that
Super
bacteria from
easy.
growing in there.
Super,
It's
super easy.
very, very easy. It's also non-oxidizing, so it's not going to damage any of your hand pieces, which is really important, or any of your couplings and things like that. We don't want those to be oxidized. So compatibility and safety for your equipment is really, really important.
It
So
is.
here's the whole safe water solution protocol. This is what we recommend you do. It's really easy. Once a month, you test with Fast Check. So long as you're passing, you move on to quarterly testing, and then your annual straw, and then your shock on the right there. We usually recommend once a month for shocking, because why not? It's one tablet. It's really easy. You just do it right after you
Yeah.
test on the last
One
day.
tablet per operatory, it'll work good. So, all right. Well, I knew when Shanda sent me all these slides, we didn't have enough time to do it. Plus have a chat. So we are out of time. But I want to thank Shanda for joining me today. And guys, there's so much information out there. Please download the handout before you hop off. And it's a PDF fillable, so you can fill it out, customize it for your office, and then you'll have like your first SOP for waterline maintenance. It's really, really simple. If you need any help, you can reach out to me, sherrie.busby@yahoo.com, and I'm happy to walk you through it. So I just found out a few minutes ago that we are going to pause on our podcast for the summer. So Michael will send emails to let you guys know, but we're going to pause for July and August, and then I will see you back in September. So please take a moment once again to do our survey, and thank you so much for joining today. Wait a minute, there's one more question. I want to get that. The PDF isn't on SOP.
Of the SOP, we can send the PDF.
There's two
form.
things, but yeah, because so there was two handouts that he put in there. One is the slide deck, and the other one, if you scroll down, says the DUWL maintenance. So make sure you download both of those things. All right, guys, I went 1 minute over. I'm so sorry, but thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And let me see one more question here. The other slide deck is a PDF full of slides. All right, so Michael's going to send an email to your office, and then you'll be able to get them in the email then if it didn't download for you. So thank you so much, Mara. I appreciate all your questions, girlfriend. You have a great rest of your day and your summer, and I'll see you in September. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.